All right, so here's the third option I was thinking about in terms of submitting pencil paperwork digitally to your teachers. Is something called Rocketbook. Now, I am no way endorsing Rocketbook. I'm not getting paid for it. It's not a paid endorsement, in other words. But me personally, I use it, so this came up as a possibility. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out and buy a Rocketbook. In fact, the reason why I chose to do this video is because Rocketbook is nice enough to make all their things available for free. You can download these free Rocketbook pages, which I'll explain in a minute. Their app is free, and so all of this can be done free. I'd say the only stipulation would be that if you are going to use the free Rocketbook pages, that you would need a printer. So here's the idea. First off, what you want to do is you want to download and print your pages. All right, and all the pages look like this, except there's choices. You can get one that has lined paper for maybe you're writing an essay. There's one with graph paper, and so if you're doing some math graph, that might be more handy. But there's basically all sorts of graph paper. For those of you that have music, there's even music sheets to write down notes and things like that. And I will put the link for all these pages, the free page website, I will put next to the video in the tutorial. Now, what I then do, what I would first do then is this. Here is the Rocketbook app. It looks like a little green icon, little green circle with a little rocket shooting. And one of the first things you're going to want to do is set it up. So first thing, I'm not going to show you this part because it's fairly self-explanatory. You do need to set up an account. So I hooked up my work address and just set up an account. Now, the reason why I like this is because of one thing is this feature. The very first thing I would do is set up destinations. And what destinations are basically pre-set up places to send your document. And that's what these guys down here are for. Okay, each of these 7 icons in destinations is linked to a place that I want. So today I'm going to use this one. This first one, once I'm done with these notes, if I check off this circle here, this is already pre-set up to send it straight to my email. The moment I send this off, it'll email me a copy of it. And then I'm also going to check this one off because on here I've set it to go to my Google Drive. So it'll send 1 copy to my email, 1 copy to my Google Drive, and the most I need to do is just check off those 2 boxes. Everything else will happen automatically. All right, so then what we do next is once you've got your destination set up, and let me walk you through that. What you do is you basically click on one of the icons. Let me do one I've already set up. First thing I would do is you can set the recipient, in this case, email, or you can select one of these other destinations. Okay, if you need further instructions on this, you can go straight to their website. They have tutorials that will walk you through that. And in fact, if I can find it, I will try to link it to this presentation as well. Now, what I like to do is I like to choose PDF and bundle scans. And the reason for that is because if I scan, let's say I'm taking notes, but the notes are 3 pages long, what it'll do is it'll bundle all 3 of those pages together in one file. Okay, if I do JPEG, the JPEGs are treated as separate files, and I've got 3 different files for one set of notes. And I like to prefer to have it all bundled. So for me, I would select PDF and bundle files. Okay, and these other 2 you don't need to mess with. All right, so it's simple as this. Let's say you write down your notes, blah, 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 taking notes on this. Pen doesn't matter. My ballpoint doesn't work too good on this surface, so I'm just using this instead. Now, what I also like is this. At the top, if you put a double hashtag symbol and then you say chapter 2.2 notes, let's say chapter 2.2 notes, and you end with a double hashtag, and you have decent enough handwriting, the app is going to recognize that. So let's go back. I'm going to go back to here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the bottom right icon where the camera is. And just like a PDF scanner, what I want to do is I want to get that entire framed box in the shot. And I know this is really hard to see on the doc cam, so my doc cam's right there. It'll automatically recognize. You just have to hold it long enough where it'll scan it. Okay, so it just did it. If you look right down here, oh, it's a little hard to see. I've got take that away. So you can see down here, I've got my one scan. I didn't have to tap anything. It just automatically recognized where the corners were and took a shot. And then if I click next, it's going to take a moment to process. Now, so little things like this happen, and it's a little hard to see. There we go. So on my paper, I wrote chapter 2.2 notes, and if you look on the screen here, it put 22. So in that case, I do need to edit that a little bit. I'll put the decimal back in, 2.2 notes, and done. And then I click done. Okay, so I click done, and it just sent it off. It sent me a copy to my email, and it sent me a copy to my Google Drive, and it just brings me back to the camera for my next scan. All right, and so that's what I like about this. Initially, it's a little hard because you have to set everything up. You have to set up your destinations. You have to print out these pages. You just can't use any old piece of paper. But I like the fact that as long as I put these double hashtag marks here and here, it recognized my title and automatically made that the file name. The fact that I had my destination set up ahead of time, all I had to do was check two boxes and it sent it to exactly where I needed to go. And so it's a great way to just streamline things once you get used to using the Rocketbook. Now, once again, this is no paid endorsement, but let's say you don't want to print this stuff out. Okay, I've been trying to do everything here for free, but bottom line is for Rocketbook that if you absolutely want to, you can go out and buy a Rocketbook. Now, what makes these special though is you're essentially going paperless. So those of you that are more environmentally friendly, this might be the option for you. So the way the Rocketbook pages are made is they're basically sheets of some type of polyester. If you could actually touch them, you could feel them feel more like plastic or like an overhead transparency. And they go with these pens specifically. This is by, I believe, Pilot. And yeah, Pilot, and they're called friction pens. And the idea is this, is these friction pens have a special type of ink that when you write on here, it writes like any other pen. It takes a little while to dry because you're drawing on polyester, but the idea being that I could then get my scan. It's a little hard to see them, but those same codes are down here. So again, I could check this off. That's going to go to my email. This one's going to go to my Google Drive. And it works exactly the same as the free pages. Okay, I take my scans, I send it off. Okay, but what's nice about this is if you take just a damp cloth and you wipe it down, you can reuse the page. Okay, and I believe this is called their Everlast notebook. And so you can take notes, you can get everything you want, scan it, get your digital copy for later, and then just reuse the pages. So you never have to print more pages. You can just keep using these pages. All right, and so that's an option that, you know, if you want to spend a little bit of money, you can. Now, fair word of warning, these friction pens. The reason why they're called friction pens is because these are actually erasable pens. So if I were to write something, they have this, it looks like an eraser at first, but it isn't. It's just a little rubber end, and called friction because the idea being that when you rub on your paper, you're causing friction and you're heating up the ink, and the ink is temperature sensitive. So when you do this, that heat generated erases the ink. Okay, so that's how these friction pens work on just normal paper. Do not do that on your notebook. Okay, these are not meant to be used with the rubber end. Okay, if you're writing on your notebook and you try to do that, you're eventually going to ruin the surface of your Rocketbook notebook. You want to use just a damp cloth to wipe it down. All right. All right, so that's a bit about the Rocketbook and the friction pens. Again, this is option. I like it because it just works with how I do things. And I just really like how simplified it makes the process. But at the same time, you know, it is a hassle to print the pages. You know, you do have to spend money on a Rocketbook notebook if you want to go that direction. Oh, the pens too. So this option might not be for everybody. All right, but I put it out there because it's something I use and hopefully other people find it useful as well.